Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you a complete walkthrough of how to create and publish a high content book in just 10 steps. So if you follow the channel, you might know that I started writing fiction. I published 4 full-length novels on Amazon to begin with, and then moved into other areas such as colouring books, activity books, etc. Here's an example of a few of my books. I started out with Watchers, and then I moved into a dystopian trilogy called The United World. One of the best ways to learn what to do and what not to do with publishing is to just go ahead and do it yourself. And I'm here to share with you what I've learnt along the way. Let's get going. What's the first thing you should do when you're publishing a high content book? Step 1, it's not writing. That is the main mistake that people make. Step 1 is actually researching a niche. If you write a book that's generic sci-fi, romance, dystopian, thriller, those sort of high-level niches, it's going to be very, very difficult to get noticed and to stand out. My recommendation would be to find a sub-niche that is quite popular, interesting, and gives you your creative freedom as well. There are lots of tools you can use to research these niches, see how well books are selling, etc. But the best thing to do to begin with is just go onto Amazon, look in the book categories, see what the best sellers are, and then just spend some time going through, see what's selling, see what has high book ranks, and then sub-niche down from there. Alright, you found your niche, what next? My next step is actually to read some books. I would suggest reading some of the best sellers within your found niche. That way, you can see the tropes. A trope is basically a theme or event that people expect within that genre of book. It's really important to research these because the reader will expect to have these tropes or plays on these tropes within your writing. This will lead to a better product, it will lead to better reviews, and it's worth spending the time to see what other people are doing in the genre, especially the best sellers, and then taking those learnings and utilising them for yourself. During this step, I would also look at the best sellers in your genre, in your niche, and see what the page counts are, what the pricing is, what the covers look like, and just spend a little bit of time researching the product as a whole. Step 3 is to plan out your book. There are 2 different types of way of writing. You can basically be a plotter or a pantser. A plotter is someone who might write down pretty much everything that's going to happen, all the beats that happen within a certain chapter, all of the narrative arcs, all of the character development. In summary, it's just very, very organised, and it allows you to work to a structure. A pantser is someone who just sits down and writes. One of the biggest mistakes that beginners make to writing is just to be full pantser. Because it's easy, they like to see how it flows, but within that you still want to have some structure. For example, you need to know your characters, you need to know your world. So before you start writing, you want to build out what your characters look like, what their likes are, what their dislikes are, what their aims are, all of that stuff to make really rounded characters. And then you want to do some world building, make notes about your world, what's going on in it, what's different than everything around us at the moment. And then if you're pantsing, you probably still want to have some points that you hit in your journey, and then you can write to those. You can change them and adapt them as you go, but you still want to have some story points that you hit along the way. Step 4 is finally to sit down and write your book. It's going to take a long time to get that first draft down, whether it's 30,000 words, whether it's 120,000 words. It's going to take a lot of time. My advice here is to not go back and edit what you've written. It's just to keep on going, get those words out, and just get them all onto the page. This might take a month, this might take 4 years. My first book actually took me 4-5 years to write, and then I edited it down. My final book actually took me about 4 months to write. Once you've got those words down on your page, step 5 is to go back and rewrite them. You want to get this second draft into a really good place, and my suggestion would also be to go over it again once you finish and do a third draft. Step 6, this is optional, but I find it really useful, is to find advanced readers who will be willing to read your draft, to point out any things that they love, that maybe need changing. This will really help you to make a better product. You can find advanced readers on Facebook groups, on Reddit. You can even ask your friends and family, but make sure they're readers of the genre and make sure that you tell them not to hold back with their feedback. After you've received feedback from these advanced readers, you're going to want to incorporate their feedback and write your final draft. Step 7 is editing. This is probably one of the main barriers to entry with self-publishing. A lot of people, including myself when I began, don't use an editor. The issue is it shows in your writing. Editors can be expensive. For a book, you're basically looking anywhere between $500 to $2,000 or pounds. So this is a huge outlay of cash on something that you don't even know is going to sell. So as you're getting going, if you know any friends, any colleagues, any acquaintances who might be able to provide a bit of a light edit, that might be a way to get started with your first book. But as you build a career, you're going to want to find an editor because they're going to take your lump of coal and turn it into a diamond. Right, you've got your manuscript finished, it's been edited, it's in a really nice niche that you think it's going to sell in. Now, step 8 is to make a cover. This is so important and people often neglect the cover creation part of making a book. You could have the best book in the world, but if you don't have a cover that stands out and that's on point in the genre and of a certain quality, your book just won't sell. So if you do a bit of graphic design yourself, you're a bit of a budding graphic designer, still get some help. You can find pre-made book templates which are really good. You can utilize AI for some backgrounds. You can go on places like Creative Fabrica for some really nice fonts, but make sure that the cover is as good as possible. One other thing for selling on Amazon is to make sure that your cover stands out on thumbnail view, because most people will see your front cover as a really small thumbnail. So you want to make sure that it stands out and that people can see what they're getting from that small view. Step 9, you've got your book, you've got your cover, and you're ready to go. My suggestion would then be to upload it directly to Amazon KDP. There are other options with self-publishing, but this one provides the least barriers to entry and is probably the easiest route to go down. When you're on Amazon, you need to fill in your title, your subtitle, your descriptions, your keywords, all of that good stuff, set your price, and then it's time to go live. And there you go, well done, you've published your book. But the work does not stop there. If you notice that was 9 steps, there's a 10th. This is an ongoing step for as long as you want to sell your book, and that is marketing. There are so many ways that you can advertise your book and get it out there, from newsletter swaps with authors in similar genres, to advertising on Amazon KDP and Facebook and Google and all of those places. What people don't realise is that even by creating a really good book and uploading it, it's not going to sell itself. Unless you get really lucky with like a TikTok video going viral, you need to advertise in order to sell your book. This deserves a video all by itself, so that's something we can look at in the future. But to begin with, you probably want to create your own mailing list, organise some newsletter swaps with some authors in a similar genre so that you can get some free marketing, and then run some Amazon ads to begin with as well. There we have it, 10 steps to publishing a high content book. If you've got any additional steps you'd like to add, please drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.